Hello twin flames, welcome to my channel. Whether you're new or you're coming back, this reading is going to be dedicated to the upcoming full moon in Capricorn. It's just hours away from us, the peak of it, as I'm recording and posting this video. But even if you're watching on a later day, it's still going to be, the energy is still going to be relevant for a few days. So use this time to cleanse, to release, to relieve yourself of anything that you feel like has been bringing you down, has been delaying your progress, has been weighing on you, whether, or like, although you realize deep down that it's not supposed to be like that, right? It allows us to have a grieving experience for things that we cherished in our life that may not be relevant anymore. Full moon is helping you see those things and relieve yourself of them. And it doesn't mean that all of it is bad. It just, like, it's not bad in your face, right? Like, this is horrible. But it may just be something that you're not vibing with, or someone, and so it's time to say thank you, to show your appreciation of the time of that experience and move on to other things. Sorry about the noise. I have the window open and yeah, sometimes it gets a little loud. But what I was also gonna say is, because this full moon is in Capricorn, a couple of things here. First of all, and I keep stressing it every time, you can do rituals connected with the relevant element, in this case earth, right? So whichever way you feel like you want to relieve or release yourself of some burdens, you can put it down, bury that piece of paper, right? Or like, it can be more symbolic, it can be through connection to nature, walking bare feet somewhere, hugging a tree, right? Like, with the intention of that relief, of that release, of bringing in something bigger and better into your life, right? This can be really powerful. But another aspect of it is that we are in Cancer season, so Sun is in Cancer, the Moon is in Capricorn, and those are the opposite signs that are kind of that have opposite energies and pulling in different directions. It's really important to embrace this full moon spirit, as in trying to balance out those kind of energies and intentions in your life. It doesn't have to be one over another, but Capricorn energy is more about external commitments, responsibilities, and action, right? Cancer energy is more about your inner feelings, your inner child, and making sure that your emotional needs are met, right? So it's important to kind of balance out the two, especially because this month we are going into the change of the North Node and South Node positions, and once the North Node is in Aries, which is going to happen on the 17th of July, you're going to be feeling that even more, that your needs will be more and more of your priority. You will not be able to brush problems under the carpet. If there is something that's where you cannot express yourself freely, or you have to sacrifice your own interests in the interest of somebody else, you won't be able to do that. It's going to get a lot harder, let's put it that way. You still have your free will, right? But it's just going to be painful. It's going to be unbearable to keep doing it, right? And then finally it'll be like, this doesn't make any sense. And that's the truth. So with that energy coming in, it's really nice to prepare during this full moon and try to release anything that doesn't serve your interest, where you feel like those commitments and obligations are important for the sake of your public image, but they don't actually relate to your inner feelings, beliefs, and needs, right? So if there is a dissonance there, it's a red flag that you should be paying attention to, and maybe set a new intention, right? Or ask to help to release that, so that you don't have to waste your energy like that. Okay, so we will do the usual opportunities and challenges reading. We will do advice. And actually, I'm gonna start with that. I have the Wisdom of the Oracle deck with me, so I want to see for each of the twin collectives, what is the advice for this full moon in Capricorn. And we'll start with Divine Feminine, as always. I had a question once, why am I starting with too many cards? Let's do it again. Why am I starting with the feminine? Because most of you guys watching are divine feminine, so yes, I feel like that's pretty much relevant to start with you. Okay, but of course I know that even though most of you are the feminines, you still like to take a peek at what's going on with your masculine. So I know that they're both important. So we have the fates here, number 17. Let me read the message actually. As I'm going back to all of my decks, I decided that it's important to get back to the guidebooks as well, so that I don't miss anything important. So the oracle message here. The serenity prayer sums up the meaning of this card. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Exactly what I was talking about right now. There are things in life you will never have control over. The conditions brought on by the evolution of the collective, by nature, and by your past experiences may be fated, preordained by spirit for a greater purpose you cannot understand in this lifetime. It may not be in your cards to understand why certain events occurred, but you can accept the mystery and work with what those events and your current circumstances have to teach you. This is the wisdom contained in the Serenity Prayer. Beautiful, I love it. Yes, and actually it's a wise guidance. It helped me relieve some of my stress in certain circumstances where perceivably negative events are happening, and I'm trying to make sense of it, to find logic, to see where I could have gone wrong. You know, the usual, especially when you've been brought up by a narcissist. I always looking for something like, oh, I must have done something wrong. And I learned to accept it for what it is, and accept that, you know, all of it has its purpose. Maybe I don't know it yet, maybe I don't see it yet. It will be revealed to me in time. But that's not important. Well, it is, but you know, like, it's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is, what are you learning as a result? Where is it guiding you as a result, right? I was just remembering this morning, so I'm using in my nutrition system, I'm using some supplements and some vitamins to nurture myself, my body, my skin and hair. I like, it's become part of my daily routine. And as I was doing something this morning with it, I actually remembered when it all started. And it started with me working with a coach, a twinflame coach, a couple of years ago. And the funny part, was it 2 years ago, maybe even more than that? I cannot say that the coaching part helped me a lot, or that he gave me new information. Like, some of it, yes, but the majority of it was not even that. Like, I mean, of course, if I turned to a coach, I felt like I needed that support, and he provided, he held space, right? Good job. But I figured out that the important part that he gave me, or he gave me an idea of, was the supplements, the vitamins. And it was almost like a casual conversation, and we're talking about my health issues that I was born with, and the generational karma and all of that stuff. And then he prompted me to one of the supplements at least. And he told me where to get it. And I don't want to make commercials, so I'm not going to talk about details, but you know, it all started so casually, like, you know, check it out, they have this and that, and that will definitely help you if you don't want to pass on these issues to your kids. And I got into it, and I got more interested. I started looking for more products. Yeah, by now I'm like this supplement junkie. Almost, you know. I like to think I don't go overboard, but it just hit me right now that that was his purpose, not the coaching itself. A little bit, but mostly because he kind of confirmed certain things that I already knew, which I guess was important at the time. But he put me up for this extra nutrition, extra help that I can get from my house. Wow, yes, life-changing stuff. And if you ask me back then, like, was it important, or why was it, or how was it, I couldn't tell. I just knew at some point that I didn't feel like talking to him anymore, so we stopped like that. And I was like, I don't know if I made a mistake, but I'm just gonna accept it as something that for some reason was important, and I'll move on. Right? And only now, like more than 2 years later, I realized what was the main purpose of it. Let's see what we have for the masculines. Regeneration, 46. Yes, and I like that this picture is very much connected to nature. It makes a lot of sense considering that this full moon is in the earth sign. Second chances are available to you now. Whatever opportunities you thought were dead are now revived in a more authentic, stronger form. Whatever you may have perceived as a failure or loss is now being replaced by something better and more powerful growing in place. This rebirth is assured. Step into your new life. Destiny is being fulfilled in wondrous ways. Beautiful. Okay, let's move on to the main reading. And got my Tarot of Mystic Moments today. Let's see what kind of opportunities are we seeing with this full moon for the feminines. What is the opportunities for the twin flame journey and for the feminine specifically during this full moon? What is this time favorable for? We have 8 of Swords. Wow. Please clarify. And 8 of Wands. 2 8s. And it's actually, I was just prompted that this card number is 17, which is also 8. So 8s are about taking action, right? And of course, this is a little bit of a contrary energies, I would say, because 8 of Wands is about moving forward, it's about communication, it's about going for what you want. In some decks, it's more about like speaking and communicating, in other decks, it's more about actually moving forward with what you have to say, with your mission, with your purpose. 8 of Swords is kind of the opposite. It's about, you know, locking yourself up in self-sabotaging thoughts and not being able to move forward. But I like that this in this case, first of all, the person has wings, right? So it's a prompt to you that actually you have the wings. And secondly, the cage is not locked. It's open. So you can leave that situation as soon as you want. You're not supposed to stay there, right? It was providing a space for reflection, for introspection, for rethinking certain choices that you've made in the past, but it's not needed anymore. Right now, it's important to step into your power and move on, right? And that's actually what I was talking about at the beginning, about release, relief, about moving on from those things that have been holding you back. It's a really favorable time for that. It's going to happen naturally as long as you set that intention. So you're still supposed to look it in the eye and confirm what it was all about, right? What kind of themes are holding you back or are draining your energy that you don't want to keep like that anymore, right? And then with the spirit's help, with the planet's help, with the moon's help, you can release it and move on from it. What about masculines? What kind of opportunities we have during this full moon for divine masculines watching? What is this time favorable for? What can be solved, gained? Okay. So these 2 cards are 9 of Wands and the Moon. Quite interestingly, right? This one is the Empress. Wink, wink. Whenever we see the Empress energy, right? It's like, aha. Divine feminine vibes, baby. The Moon is actually a feminine energy as well, so I guess it's not surprising, because as DMs are actually connecting to their Empress within, they are through this Moon energy, right? They're being guided to retrospect themselves. They are getting more and more of what the Empress's energy is about and what their DF is about, right? Again, certain light is being shined on why certain choices have been made the way they have been made, why they have had certain priorities that were not clear, right? Or why certain things didn't pan out the way they were supposed to, that seemed kind of straightforward, but it didn't pan out that way, right? And a lot of it was actually, as DMs discover, connected with their own fear, right? Like it was an illusion that they were external obstacles, right? It was more about their own fear of success, of getting the Empress in their life. Ooh, it's a big deal. So that's also something, because we have regeneration here, it's something that you can, move away from the fear and move on to that Empress energy within and without. Because it's important to embrace it within, to make peace with it, to understand it, to connect to it within yourself, that feminine energy, to be able to connect with your divine feminine on the outside. And yes, I'm already getting a lot of questions here. How do we do it? How? The moon energy will help you here, actually. So, and of course you can always ask your guides, ask your angels, right? But the most important part, as I was noticing at the beginning when I was talking about Cancer versus Capricorn energy, Cancer is actually reigned by the moon anyway, right? It's this innermost feelings, it's the inner child. That's the essential Cancer energy, that's the moon energy. And what it talks about, what it is all about, right? It's about intuition, but also about our innermost feelings. So by connecting to your innermost feelings and being kind to yourself, accepting them, looking at it, as a, when you're doing your inner child work, it's important to kind of, from an adult perspective, to see your inner child as a responsible and loving parent, right? Both of those aspects, loving and responsible, right? So it's important to connect to that inner child that way, right? To make peace with what your inner child needs or they didn't get, or how you can get them that now, right? That's the essence of the inner child work anyway. And that all of those actions, when you connect with the feelings and emotions, when you work with them, when you accept them, and you also accept that if you're feeling or some negative emotions come up, that it's not just something to ignore or to brush under the carpet. It's something to look at, to have that regeneration opportunity, right? To understand why, to start working with that pain. That's the essence of it. And the more you're going to do this work, the more you're going to be connected with the feminine energy within. And I can guarantee that the 99% of masculine energies have some sort of a wound connected to recognizing the feminine in themselves, because that's how our society is programmed. That's how we were brought up. The masculines, and we're not supposed to show their feminine side. It was not acceptable. It was not encouraged. And a lot of us have that wound, that we're not connected in those areas. I say us, but like people in general. Okay, the second question that I'm gonna address with the Thelema deck is gonna be any kind of obstacles that we should be aware of. And answering the question why are we looking at obstacles is because when you're trying, let's say you're trying to do some shadow work, and then I'm talking about certain obstacles, but it's like things are not moving as you expected, and then you're aware that yes, this could be the obstacles, so you can pay attention to those to free up the energy flow for the opportunities, right? What are the challenges during this time? For the feminine is Two of Pentacles. Clarify, please. Trying to do too many things at once, I'm hearing. Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, so it's like on the one hand, you are being slowed down. On the other hand, you want to do a lot. So there is this dissonance of like, when you're trying to like start the engine and then it starts and stops, and it's like there is this tension of the energies. So what I will say is do not push too hard. Let it flow like naturally, right? So even if you discover that you have, 3 different areas where you want to do work during this full moon, if there is a slowness there or kind of like a reluctant energy, don't mind it. Go for what will prioritize those aspects that are in the forefront, that you really like, you can feel like you start vibrating with those, like this is really important. I want to drop everything and look at it right now. Focus on that. And that's going to be good enough. Yes, that's another programming that we have, another conditioning of society, right? Trying to achieve more, especially when we have related kind of jobs in 3D, which I have had, so I know what I'm talking about. But with shadow work, with inner work, it's a lot more sophisticated. It's a lot more sensitive and, how do we say it? Fragile space, right? So it's important to nurture yourself, to nurture the process, rather than just rush to solve as many things as possible, as quickly as possible. You know, I don't have time for this. I need to move forward with XYZ, or I'm looking forward to get in union with my idea, my sap. So yeah, let's just do it all. Nope. Spirit says no. And actually, both of these are the earth energies. So that's full moon in the earth sign for you. You're supposed to make progress, steady progress, but don't try to solve too much too soon. What do we have for the masculines? Ooh, the Tower. Nice. Clarified by Knight of Swords. Look at it, 2 knights. Yeah, so there is some sort of urgency on both sides. That's all I'm gonna say, just in general for the twins. And you are being shown that that's not really the way to do it. The masculines will actually face the Tower that will not necessarily be connected to this work. So I'm getting in some other area. It's some sort of belief that you thought you were good with, that you were confident about. You didn't see any issues there. And when I started talking about triggers and wounding and emotions, you were thinking about completely different. And then the Tower comes in this area that you weren't even thinking of touching at this point. You're like, whoa. And there is so much to unpack over there. So suddenly it changes your focus, right? That's the Knight of Swords for you. It's quick, and it's about the thinking process, right? It's 4D space, actually. So that could be an interesting turn of events. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'll continue posting videos with the July forecast by the element, so watch out for those as well. And I wish you all the best. I wish that you make the most out of this full moon energy on the 3rd of July. Love you all.